Hello everyone, and welcome back to Hidden Korea. We're so glad to have you here today. Because what we're about to uncover will leave you completely speechless. After months of silence and endless speculation, Korea's golden couple has finally spoken, and what they revealed has taken both fans and the media by storm. Yes, today's story is one that no one saw coming. Hyun and son Ye-jin break their silence. The real story behind their marriage shocks fans. What really happened behind the perfect smiles, the fairy tale wedding, and the picture-perfect image of Korea's most beloved duo? Why did the rumors of a rift begin, and what truth did Hyun and son Ye-jin finally decide to share with the world? From whispers of distance to moments of heartbreak and courage, we're diving deep into the emotional truth behind the couple who captured the hearts of millions. Stay tuned, because this isn't just another celebrity story, it's a journey of love, honesty, and strength that will change everything you thought you knew. Let's get started, right now, on Hidden Korea. The world of Korean entertainment froze in disbelief the moment the headline appeared. Hyun and son Ye-jin break their silence. The real story behind their marriage shocks fans. For years, they had been the embodiment of perfection, the real-life fairy tale born from Crash Landing on You. A love story so cinematic it blurred the line between fiction and reality. Fans called them Ye-jin, the symbol of destiny itself. They laughed, they shone. They conquered every red carpet hand in hand. Their wedding was the nation's dream, elegant, flawless, almost divine. But somewhere between the lights, something broke. It began quietly, like a rumor too small to notice. A few fans online whispered about how the couple hadn't been seen together in public for months. It's just schedules. People said. They're fine. But others weren't convinced. The smiles in recent photos seemed tighter. The warmth, that undeniable spark that once lit up every camera, felt dimmer. Then, one evening, everything changed. Exactly 11:37 p.m., a popular entertainment journalist dropped a single post that sent the internet spiraling into chaos. An exclusive source claims tension has been growing between Hyun and son Ye-jin for months. The couple is reportedly living separately due to personal differences. Within minutes, the post exploded across every major platform. Hashtags like Ye-jin Trouble and Hyun's son Ye-jin began trending worldwide. Fans refused to believe it, until photos surfaced. Glossy images showed Hyun leaving a Seoul restaurant alone. Another photo captured son Ye-jin in tears, talking to a friend outside a cafe. The media ran with it. The perfect couple falling apart, one headline read. Their agencies remained silent for 48 hours. Silence that only fueled the fire. Reporters camped outside their homes. Tabloids claimed irreconcilable differences. Some even suggested that Hyun's overseas filming and son Ye-jin's new project had created a distance too deep to bridge. Behind the scenes, however, the truth was far more complicated, and far more human. Those closest to them knew that fame had never been their enemy. It was the weight of perfection. People demanded that they be flawless. Every moment of every day. Every word they spoke, every gesture, every glance became proof, or denial, of their love. And love, under such scrutiny, begins to suffocate. Son Ye-jin, in quiet moments, confided to a close friend that she felt exhausted trying to stay perfect. Hyun, equally burdened, told a co-star that marriage was beautiful but terrifying, because one mistake becomes everyone's business. Still, both of them tried. When the rumors grew louder, Hyun returned early from a filming schedule in Japan. That night, he knocked on their apartment door, carrying takeout from her favorite restaurant, simple black bean noodles and dumplings. But the air was heavy when she opened the door. They sat across from each other, the silence between them louder than any argument. Finally said, "They're talking again." "I know," she replied quietly. "They always will," he sighed. "We can't control that." Her eyes softened, but her voice trembled. "It's not them I'm worried about. It's us." Reached for her hand. But she didn't move. The moment, caught between love and exhaustion, became the turning point. Not a breakup. Not a fight. Just two people realizing that love, under pressure, can fracture even when it doesn't fade. Still, they refused to let the world define them. Days later, they reappeared, together, at an event celebrating a mutual friend's film premiere. Cameras flashed wildly as they entered hand in hand, smiling. For a brief moment, it felt like everything was fine again. Fans cried with relief. The internet lit up with headlines, Bin-jin couple stronger than ever. But what no one saw was what happened after the lights went out. When they returned home that night, Son Ye-jin placed her clutch on the table and said softly, "You look tired tonight." He smiled faintly. "So did you." Then came the silence again, the silence that had started to feel like a third presence in their home. The next morning, Hyun left for another film project. This time, Son Ye-jin didn't accompany him to the airport. As weeks turned into months, the distance grew. They called, they texted. But their conversations became shorter. Work consumed them both. They weren't fighting, they were fading. Until one day, a story broke that neither of them expected, a tabloid headline that read, Hyun and Son Ye-jin headed for divorce? Insiders reveal growing rift. The world lost its mind. Fans wept. Critics dissected their marriage like an autopsy. And this time, silence wasn't enough. For the first time, both of them knew, if they didn't speak now, their truth would be written for them. They decided to do what no one expected. They would speak. Together. And when they finally broke their silence, what they revealed wasn't just about marriage. It was about love, fame, and the painful reality of being human in a world that demands perfection. 2. The announcement came suddenly, a joint statement posted on both of their official accounts at exactly midnight. It began simply, "We have been quiet for too long. It's time we share the truth, not as actors, but as two people trying to protect something real." The message stunned fans. Within minutes, it was translated into over 20 languages and spread across every major platform. The statement continued. It is not a fairy tale. It's work, it's compromise. It's fear and joy in the same breath. We have faced difficult moments, not because of lack of love, but because of the pressure that comes with being who we are. Every look, every silence, every absence became a story we didn't write. And in trying to stay perfect, we forgot how to just be ourselves. Then came the part that shook everyone. We did take time apart. We needed to remember what love means without the cameras. It wasn't separation, it was survival. Those words, "it wasn't separation, it was survival," echoed across the nation. People revealed that after months of tension, they had agreed to live separately for a short period. Hyun had moved to a small villa outside Seoul, while Son Ye-jin stayed in their apartment. "We needed space," they wrote. Not from each other, but from the noise. But what truly shocked fans wasn't the confession, it was what came next. They admitted that they had nearly divorced. At one point, they even contacted their lawyers to discuss a potential settlement. It wasn't anger. The statement read, "It was fatigue. Sure made us forget why we chose each other in the first place." Then, one night, Son Ye-jin found an old note Hyun had written to her before their wedding. It said, "No matter what the world says, meet me halfway. I'll always walk the rest." She called him that same night. Met at their favorite restaurant in Gangnam, the same one where they had gone on their first official date. He arrived first, nervous, holding a single white rose. When she walked in, she didn't say a word. She simply sat down. And for the first time in months, they smiled, not for cameras, not for fans, but for each other. It was then that they made a decision. They wouldn't let fame destroy what love had built. In their statement, they explained, "Realize that our marriage doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be ours. We are still learning how to live, how to love. We grow together. And yes, we are still together." The world exhaled. In hours, the internet transformed from chaos to compassion. Fans flooded social media with support. They're human too. This is what real love looks like, imperfect but strong. And celebrities joined in, posting messages of encouragement. Days later, Hyun appeared publicly for the first time, dressed casually. He stopped briefly before cameras and said, "We've hurt, we've healed. We're still standing. Thank you for waiting." Son Ye-jin followed with a quiet interview of her own. She spoke about how difficult it was to live under constant scrutiny. "Sometimes," she said, "you begin to act even in your private life, because you forget how to just be real. But we're learning again." Slowly. Their honesty reignited what fans loved most about them, their sincerity. Months passed. They began appearing together again, at small events, charity galas, and dinners with close friends. They didn't flaunt their relationship, they simply lived it. In one viral photo, Hyun was seen tying Son Ye-jin's shoelaces during a quiet walk in the park. It wasn't posed. It wasn't planned. It was just real. The image reminded everyone why they had fallen in love with them in the first place. As one journalist wrote, began as stars, but they survived as people. By the end of the year, the couple announced they were expecting their first child, a new beginning after the storm. In a heartfelt message, Son Ye-jin wrote, "Doesn't always glow. Sometimes it flickers. But if it's real, it never goes out." And Hyun, in his simple but steady way, posted, "We're still walking halfway, together." The nation rejoiced. What started as a scandal had turned into one of the most powerful stories of redemption and resilience. Because in the end, their love wasn't perfect, but it was real. And that, perhaps, is the most beautiful truth of all. The world held its breath as midnight struck and Hyun and Son Ye-jin's joint statement continued to unfold online, not as a public relations stunt, but as a raw confession. They were reflecting the fragile humanity behind their flawless image. It wasn't the story fans expected. It wasn't a denial, or an apology. Carefully crafted piece of damage control. It was truth, and it hit like a storm. "We forgot how to breathe," the message read. "We lived for applause, not for peace. We smiled when we wanted to cry. And one day, we looked at each other and didn't recognize who we were anymore." Those words pierced through the screen. Quiet but devastating. Within hours, the internet shifted from chaos to collective heartbreak. Fans who once demanded explanations now began writing messages of support and love. Even those who had doubted them felt the weight of their vulnerability. Because this wasn't a scandal anymore, it was survival. Insiders revealed that months before the statement, Hyun had moved temporarily into a small villa outside Seoul. It wasn't abandonment, it was an act of preservation. He needed space to think. One close friend said. They were both drowning under pressure. Didn't want to say words he couldn't take back. Meanwhile, Son Ye-jin, quiet soul, focused on journaling. Every night. Letters she never sent, pages filled with grief, guilt, and gratitude. One entry reportedly read, "Not my problem. The noise is. I just need to find a way to hear his heart again." They were two people trapped in the storm of public perfection, trying desperately to remember how to love without an audience. But love, as it always does, found a way back. Late one night, Son Ye-jin stumbled upon an old message on her phone. A voice recording Hyun had sent her before their wedding. In it, he had said softly, "Whatever happens, let's not forget, we're human first, actors second." Tears streamed down her face as she replayed it again and again. The next morning, she called him. Met quietly at a cafe by the Han River, wearing masks and hats, just like they did during the early days of their relationship. For a moment, neither spoke. Just stared at each other, realizing how much time had passed in silence. And she broke it with a trembling laugh. "You still drink too much Americano." Smiled. "And you still don't finish your tea." It was simple, but it was enough. The meeting became the spark that reignited everything. Not instantly, not magically, but honestly. They began talking again. This time not about scripts or schedules, but about themselves. What hurt? What healed? What they had lost? Somewhere in those quiet, unguarded conversations, they found what they thought was gone, understanding. Later, they made a decision that shocked their teams. They would address everything publicly, not through agencies, but in their own words. The idea terrified their managers. Unprecedented. No one in their position had ever confessed so much. But Hyun and Son Ye-jin had already made peace with one thing: if love had to survive, it had to be honest. When they released the statement, the entire nation paused. "Not perfect," it read. "We are still learning to be partners, to be parents, to be people. Love is not about avoiding pain, it's about holding hands even when it hurts." The honesty of it silenced even the most ruthless critics. The following week, they appeared together for the first time in nearly a year. No grand red carpet. No fancy event, just a charity gala supporting single parents. They stood side by side. Hands linked. Smiles faint but real. Reporters noted how they occasionally looked at each other, not with a fiery spark of newlyweds, but with quiet familiarity. Kind that comes only from surviving something together. Their fans wept. Not because of drama or scandal, but because they saw truth, something rare in the glittering illusion of fame. Hyun Bin later told a close interviewer, "Thought love meant protecting her from the world. But I learned it also means letting her see when I'm weak." And Sun Ye-jin, in her own soft-spoken way, shared during an interview, "The hardest part wasn't the distance. Pretending we were okay when we weren't. Now, don't pretend anymore." Their story, once a fairy tale turned tabloid nightmare, became something entirely different, a reminder that love isn't about perfection. It's about endurance. Months passed, the couple began rebuilding their lives quietly. They traveled, cooked at home, spent time away from cameras. Photos of them shopping at a local market surfaced, Hyun Bin carrying grocery bags, Sun Ye-jin laughing beside him. The image went viral. Not because it was glamorous, because it was real. And then came the moment that changed everything once more, Sun Ye-jin's pregnancy announcement. Her post was brief, poetic, full of emotion. "A tiny life is growing inside me. Feels like love found a new way to remind us of hope. Thank you for believing in us, even when we faltered." And Bin followed with his own message. "This time, I won't let the noise drown out what matters. My family is my peace." The nation rejoiced. The couple who had once been the subject of heartbreak rumors now stood as symbols of resilience. They had faced the fire, and walked through it stronger than before. By the time their child was born, the narrative had changed entirely. Gone were the whispers of separation. What remained was admiration, for their courage, their vulnerability, willingness to show the cracks that made them human. Later, in an exclusive interview, Hyun Bin reflected quietly, "Everyone expects perfection. But perfection is lifeless. Love isn't a movie, it's a series of moments where you choose each other, again and again. Even when it's hard." Sun Ye-jin added with a soft smile, "Survived because we stopped performing. We just lived. And for the first time, that was enough." As they stood together at a film event not long after, he noticed something different, not the dazzling chemistry of a screen couple, but the gentle, grounded energy of two people who had found their rhythm again. The world that once questioned them now admired them, not for their beauty or fame, but for their truth. So, their story ended not in scandal or separation, but in rebirth, a quiet, unshakable love that endured even when the spotlight dimmed. Because in the end, Hyun Bin and Sun Ye-jin didn't just survive the rumors. They redefined what it meant to love in a world that never stops watching. So that sometimes, silence isn't the absence of love, it's the space where love learns to breathe again. As dawn broke over Seoul, gentle calm seemed to settle over the chaos that had once surrounded them. The whirlwind of rumors, the tears, sleepless nights, it all felt distant now. Dream fading in the morning light. For Hyun Bin and Sun Ye-jin, this was not the end of a story, it was the beginning of a quieter, more honest chapter. In the days following their heartfelt revelation, stayed away from cameras, from interviews, anything that wasn't real. They were seen walking their dog in a small neighborhood park, wearing caps and hoodies, laughing softly as if rediscovering what peace felt like. To the world, they were Korea's brightest stars. But to each other, were just two people who had chosen to stay. Reporters who once speculated about their downfall now wrote of admiration. They didn't just survive the spotlight, columnist noted. They redefined what it means to love in it. Months later, when Sun Ye-jin returned to film a new drama, she looked radiant, not because of makeup or lighting, but because of serenity. When asked how she felt, she smiled and said, "That love isn't about always being happy. It's about holding on, even when it hurts, and finding yourself again in the process." Then, appearing in an interview for his new project, showed the same sentiment. "We faced everything, the rumors, the fear, the noise. But when the lights go out, and it's just the two of you, you realize what really matters." Me, that's her. Their love had been tested by fame, by expectation, crushing weight of public scrutiny, but through it all, it endured. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't glamorous. It was human. And that made it all the more beautiful. When their first child was born, the world rejoiced. The couple released a short message together. "Our home is a little louder. Our hearts are a little fuller. Thank you for walking with us through every season." It wasn't just a statement, it was closure. Proof that love, even when bruised and battered, will rise stronger than before. To everyone who followed this journey, thank you. Thank you for looking beyond the headlines, beyond the gossip, and seeing the people beneath the perfection. Bin and son Ye-jin's story reminds us that even the brightest stars can falter. But it's in their vulnerability that they shine the most. He taught us that silence doesn't mean weakness. And truth, even when painful, can heal more deeply than any illusion of happiness ever could. Love isn't about being flawless. About forgiveness. It's about courage. It's about beginning again when the world expects you to end. This has been Hidden Korea, where we uncover the emotions behind the elegance, humanity behind the headlines. Until next time, remember, the most beautiful love stories aren't the perfect ones. They're the ones that survive the storm.